Hi, my name is Julia. I'm an anti-money laundering specialist, and today I'm reviewing some Reddit posts.
r/accounting. What kinds of fraud have you seen in your career so far? A restaurant employee created a Square merchant account with a name that was almost identical to their employer. This employee closed the tab in the POS system as paid via paper gift certificate. The employee would then create an invoice from their Square account and charge the customer's card. It would look like the customer was charged from the restaurant but not.
This is a quite clever scam. I think that the employee must have been issuing fake gift cards to close the loop for the restaurant, and the invoices, they look just like the real one, chef kiss.
I found out when I saw the paper gift certificate being redeemed, but the number of gift cards being sold was just not matching up. Upon further investigation, I found out who the individual was and they were immediately fired, obviously. They stole over $50,000 and their employer has not received a cent back.
The number of redeemed cards was higher than the number of the sold cards, and that was alerted the accountant. This is how financial investigation often look like. It's about looking at transaction and figuring out what doesn't match up.
Shady used car dealership, owned by a girl who came into some money, but her much older BF ran on the day-to-day. Hadn't filed taxes for its first couple of years and very little documentation to back it all up. We were doing the bookkeeping to get the tax return done, and my staff kept finding tons of cash withdrawals from an ATM. She Googled the info available in the statements. Turns out the ATM was located in a strip club. He was spending afternoons there on the regular, pulling out tons of money off the business bank card. Same business also didn't want to issue 1,099s, and still wanted to deduct the expenses. Checks written to contractors for random amounts of money, and then we were told that the contractors had cashed the checks and given the money back. No deposits were made back into the account.
I think that they are doing a tax fraud. When you own a business, you can get your tax deducted for expenses. For example, if you buy a laptop or you buy a car that you're going to need for work. In this case, they're using these checks for contractors, fake contractors probably, and they're cashing them out and get the money back. I think they're probably using some sort of accomplice to get the cash out.
BF also had his own used car lot, similarly shady, if not worse. I told my absentee boss no way in hell should we keep these guys as clients, even after I'd uncovered more malfeasance. She was so desperate for the business with a price is no object client, that she ignored me. Our resident EA at the time took one look at the book/WP we had cobbled together, and told boss lady that there was no way she was signing that return. Fortunately for me, I left 6 months later, and she went out of business less than a year after that.
I don't doubt that they failed. The boss seemed pretty desperate. A well-established accounting firm that doesn't want to deal with dodgy clients. And criminals know that, and in fact they target firms that are small or that they perceived as weak links because they think that they can get away with that.
Bookkeeper embezzled almost $700,000 from one client's 401k account. She got caught during the next year's retirement account audit. I spoke to one of her other clients that was affected, but only for like $400. The bookkeeper was sentenced in 2017 and was released from federal prison last week.
Embezzlement is when a person within a company, usually a senior manager, take advantage of their position and the trust that people have on them to steal money from the company.
How did this work exactly? Instead of remitting funds to the 401k, she'd just take them all? Exactly, still an expense on the books, so it looks fine. No employees checked their fund statements, or if they did, no one questioned anything. At year-end, they had to do their retirement account audit, and that's how it was discovered. The complaint states they found 96 unauthorized or forged checks totaling $693,211.
Checks carry high money laundering and fraud risk. They can be forged, they can be falsified. We don't use checks anymore in New Zealand, and also Australia is phasing them out.
Insurance fraud. Lady had quit her job at Foot Locker when she was hired by very large insurance company as a claims adjuster. I worked internal audit for that very large insurance company. I got to do a lot of investigative work. She had worked there less than a month when she figured out what she could do. Adjuster had 3K authorization, anything above that was pended for manager approval. She would reopen closed claims, change payee name and address, and submit another claim against that policy for $2,999, just under her penned limit. She also knew policy off-limits for coworkers and would use their computers, after they went to lunch and before their computer timed out. She was slick.
And this is why you always lock your computer when you're at work.
The name she used, her ex-coworkers from Foot Locker. They were in on it. Her downfall, the only reason she was caught was because of reinsurance. If a policy had it, a report, in essence an invoice, was generated and sent to the reinsurance company. Our company was submitting an insurance claim for the reinsurance company's liability for that claim we paid. They noticed duplicate/multiple claims against policies. Solid internal control, huh? Rely on another company to tell you about the fraud being committed at your company. At least we were trying to recoup a portion of our fraud loss.
This is the difference between external threat and internal threat. Insurance company, they will have procedures to protect themselves from clients committing fraud, which are external threats, and from staff member committing frauds, which are internal threats. Many companies, they have legal requirements to thoroughly vet their staff, for example, getting criminal check or getting credit check and stuff like that.
r/AskReddit. Police officers of Reddit, what criminal actually impressed you with their criminal skills? We get a call reporting that the phone system of a major UK bank has been hacked and that the caller has had several £1,000s stolen from their account as a result. Seems unlikely, but officers went round to see what had happened. Obviously the bank's system was fine, but scammers had done something fairly clever. Turns out that there is a way in the UK of keeping a phone line open when only the recipient hangs up. The scammers called the victim and pretended to be from the bank, before asking for account details. Victim was suspicious, so hung up and called the bank back at their real telephone number. However, the scammers held the line open and played a dial tone down the line so the victim thought that she was making a new call. Then they played a ring sample before a new scammer answered the call and took the details pretending to be the bank.
This is very scary. I actually have nothing to add. It would be very hard to spot a scammer like this one. And also now with audio deepfake, it's going to be even harder to spot a scammer like this one, unfortunately.
I locked up a guy a few years ago, and he had an unusual crime on his criminal history. Theft of an ATM. I asked him about it, and he told me he was with 4 others, and they all turned up at a local bank in overalls with a large truck. They asked for the manager and told him we're here to repair the ATM. The manager helped them load the ATM onto the truck, full of cash, and they drove away. He got snapped when his girlfriend got mad and turned him in.
This was just poor practice on the side of the bank. If someone shows up unexpectedly, the manager should have asked them to prove what they were doing with some paperwork, email, communication, something like that. That was probably a little bit naive.
Smartest criminal, suspect would go door to door saying he was with Publishers Clearinghouse. He would tell people they were one of several finalists. He then explained he would need their name, date of birth, and social security number to verify who they were. After that, he would ask what hours they weren't home so they could ensure if the victim won the prize, they would be home.
If it sounds too good to be true, it's probably not true. Hey, you won a prize you didn't even enter the draw for, and by the way, what time are you home? Just run.
Naturally, he would break into their homes when they weren't home and steal all their valuables. To top it off, he would steal their identity and open a bunch of credit card/payday loans in their names afterwards. After over 50 cases, I finally caught the guy. Made off with over $500,000 in 3 months before he was caught.
It's interesting how the scammer was able to steal these people's identity like that. Here in New Zealand, if I wanted to open a credit card over the phone, the bank will ask me to come in person to the branch at some point and verify my identity. In practice, they'll look at me and see if I am the person of my ID. They can also do the same thing remotely with the biometric verification, which is a software that measures some points in my face, like how distant my eyebrows are or where my nose is. And does the same thing, matches those points with the picture in my ID and verify my identity that way. This was all for today. If you made it till here, thank you so much. Like, comment, subscribe, you know, the usual. If you like this format, let me know. I can do another video like this one. My name is Julia. I trade as Total AML. I'm an anti-money laundering consultant. If you need any help with your compliance, let me know. I'll leave you all of my details below, and I'll see you next time.